This learning is Le'ili Nishmas Broya Bas Chananya, Meseches Peah, Perek, Mishnah Beis. There are two teachings in this Mishnah. The first teaching is about Shichacha, and the second teaching is about Leket. Now, regarding Shichacha, there are two types of Shicha. The regular Shichacha is when after harvesting the field and putting the crop into bundles, a person forgot one of the bundles in the field. But there's another type of Shichacha, which is if a person forgot one of the standing stalks of the crop in the field. So our Mishnah teaches, Shiboyiles Shebakotzer. If there was a standing stalk in the section of the field that a person already harvested, so the person harvested one section of the field and did not yet harvest another section, and in the section that was harvested, there's one stalk of grain. So that would generally be considered shichacha. But in this case, v'reisha magia lakama, the top of this stalk reaches to the side of the field that's not yet harvested, to the standing side of the field. So the halacha is that im niktzara, im hakama, if it could be cut, that means the person could take hold of that stalk of grain together with the stalks on the side of the field that's still standing, and he can cut them together. So then harehi shel balabayis, then it belongs to the balabayis because it's not considered shichacha, because it's still considered part of the field that's standing and that was not yet harvested. V'im lav, and if not, if the person can't take hold of the standing stalk of grain together with the other ones that were not yet harvested because it's too far, so then harehi shel aniyim, then it belongs to aniyim because it's considered shichacha. The Mishnah now teaches a halacha about leket. Shiboilis shel leket shenisarve bagadish. If one stalk of leket got mixed with a pile of grain that belongs to the owner of the field, so now there's one stalk of leket in here, which has to be given to a poor person. So the halacha is ma'aser shiboilis achas v'neisenlei. What the owner has to do is he takes one stalk of grain out of the pile, and he takes another stalk of grain out of the pile. With the first stalk, the owner says, if this is the stalk that's leket, so then I'm going to give it to the poor person, and he'll get what's his. But if it's not, as it's likely not, because it's just one stalk in the entire pile, so then I'm going to exchange the stalk of leket with this stalk and give it to the poor person. However, the problem is, from leket, a person doesn't have to give truma and meiser, but from the rest of the grain, a person has to give truma and meiser. So how could the person take this stalk, which is likely not leket, because the leket was only one in the entire pile, and give it to the poor person? What about giving trumas and meisers from the stalk? So that's why the owner takes the other stalk and says, if the first stalk is leket, so then I'm giving what belongs to the poor person to the poor person. But if it's not leket and it belongs to me, so I'm going to take the trumas and meisers out of it and place it on the other stalk. And now I'm going to exchange with the poor person his leket stalk with this stalk, and he fulfills his obligation. The Mishnah continues, Amar Rabbi Eliezer says, Rabbi Eliezer is asking on the Tanakama, how could the poor person exchange the leket stalk for this stalk? Because we said that it's possible and probable that this stalk is not the one that's leket. And what is the owner saying? He's saying that he's exchanging the leket one for this one. How could the poor person exchange something that he never received? How could he say, I'm giving the leket to you in exchange for this stalk? He doesn't have the leket to give the ownership over to the owner. So therefore, what the owner has to do is he has to give the poor person ownership of the entire pile. And he does it with a mechanism that's called a matana manas lahachzer. He's giving to him as a gift, but it's on condition that he returns it so that the ani doesn't just take ownership and not return it. So he gives the poor person ownership of the entire pile of grain. So now the poor person owns also the stalk that's leket, and then the poor person gives the whole pile of grain back to the balabayas. So now he's giving to the balabayas also the leket. So now he gave something which did belong to him. And then the balabayas, the balabayas does what we said earlier. He takes two stalks of grain out of the pile and he says, if this one is the leket one, so I'm giving it back to you. And if it's not the leket one, so you just gave me the leket, and in exchange I'm going to give you this stalk. But since this stalk is not leket and it requires that trumas and meisers be removed from it, so the balabayas says the trumas and meisers of this stalk that I'm going to give you are going to be in this other stalk, and that other stalk is used for trumas and meisers.